Yo, what is up, people? My name is Ross, or as I'm going to be known on this channel, is Level Up Paddle. If you are seeing the setup and you're thinking that doesn't look like your standard paddle content creator setup, that is because if you're interested, I do gaming content. I'll post a link down below. I have a whole room set up for it. We have a bit of a laugh and we play some mainly FPS games over there. And we also have a smoke machine, some lasers, some lights, and we have a little bit of a party every now and then. But if you're interested in that type of stuff, click the link below. If you want to jump straight into the paddle, I'll also put a little timestamp below so you can click straight into that to go watch the paddle content. But a little backstory of me when it comes to paddle. Me and my mate started getting into it. It would have been around about 10 months ago now. And I know the dates roughly because that was when my son was first born. And we just started enjoying it. There wasn't that many paddle places near where I live at the time. There was like one place with like a golf course, and they'd opened up literally 4 courts, and we just started playing. We enjoyed it. It was quite crazy. We used to do like an hour session, then a couple of like the hour and a half sessions. There'd be 5 or 6 of us, and we'd rotate and stuff. And pretty crazy now thinking about it that I play for like an hour and a half, and I just want to keep playing. So it's changed quite a lot. But in the match that you're going to be seeing, it is me and 3 of my mates. So I'm with my friend Jake playing against my other friend Jake and my other mate called George. We're all roughly between a 2 and a 3. I think Jake, the Jake that's on my team, is actually a 3.4 currently. But obviously the ratings on Playtomic are all a bit here, there, and everywhere. And play a couple of open matches with some random people. We all have. And obviously we're playing against each other, and we're still tracking it as competitive matches as well. So the ratings are, I would say we're all roughly a similar-ish level. Then each of us have strengths and weaknesses and things like that. So I'll let you guys watch it. I'll let you guys see the outcome. And I'm going to do a little voiceover in it because I didn't actually wear my microphone in this video. So it's going to be tough to actually hear what we're saying and what we're doing. And as I say, the standard is roughly between a 2 and a 3. Depending on whereabouts you're from in the UK, obviously that's going to vary slightly. You're going to have better people in different areas. And compared to somewhere like Spain, I mean, our level is probably a lot lower than that. But I hope you enjoy it. And I hope you are going to stick with me on the journey of leveling up in paddle and on Playtomic. And in a year's time, I'll post some videos and I think, okay, my technique's improved. The actual overall gameplay has improved, but we'll wait and see. So let's get straight into it. So starting off, guys, we have Jake serving to the other Jake. I'm at the far right of the camera on the far side of the court, and then George is on the left-hand side of the camera here. So Jake does a pretty good serve. Jake plays it back at him, and then you can see there the Jake that we're playing against was actually maybe slightly too close to the net, which is something that I feel like quite a lot of us do. We're all like, oh, let's push the net, and then we end up doing these like jumping overheads with not the best technique. I'm really bad for it where I'm too close to the net, waiting for that pop out, and just way too close to the net. So little rallies taking place here. A deep lob from me, and George plays a nice little Chiquita straight towards me, and I volley it straight into the net. So not ideal. So you can see here just how much, like, obviously we're focusing on lobs and trying to like send the other team back and get close to the net. But as I'm saying, like we're kind of too close to the net, so that then when the other team sends a lob up, that we're having to kind of backpedal a little bit too much, and we're struggling to recover and get back to the net. So that's one thing that I've really tried to focus on. This game was actually recorded like well over a month ago now, so I feel like I've improved quite a bit even since this. And you'll see with quite a few of the overheads, our technique isn't the best. I think that goes for like all of us, really. We're all quite bouncy when it comes to the overheads. We're not really getting that side slice, like round the side of the ball. And they always bounce back up and pop back up. And that was one massive factor for me in this game, is that I just kept making it far too easy for Jake to just move forward as it bounced off the glass and just punish us. So you'll see here, bounces up. Jake just plays an easy shot. My volley there is terrible. There's no slice whatsoever. And again, my overhead just bounces up nicely for Jake. He does try a nice backhand there, and it does go into the net to give us the point. And it's actually quite a nice serve and then a nice overhead there from Jake on my team to take the point. So you'll see that I was far too close to the net, and it's just a horrendous technique. This like backhand jumping overhead thing. I don't even know what to call that. And the Jake on the other team manages to play a nice shot. Little volley battle at the net. And I'm just far too close to the net. Slash, kind of in no man's land there, so that Jake manages to play a shot straight at my feet, and I just kind of chip it up, and it goes straight out. Kind of a fake smash there from Jake. Plays it down. I go for a backhand volley, which isn't too bad. Another far too kind of bouncy overhead. Technique's absolutely dreadful. I think Jake actually hit the glass on our side there to give us the point. George tucks me in the corner. Managed to play a little backhand Chiquita. And then Jake goes for the volley, and it just bounces up and hits the cage. Nice little return there from Jake. Lovely return there from George. And then the lob is just a little bit too long there from Jake. Nice deep lob from Jake there. And the technique, you see Jake take the shot, and then he actually goes back over it and tries again. To just try and get that muscle memory of understanding exactly how to do it. So I get a nice deep lob there. Jake plays a lovely backhand deep lob back. I try a bit of a Bajada. Play a nice shot. George goes for the boast off the glass. It pushes us both back. And I can't remember what we actually decided here on the point. But we thought it was out. I think they thought it was in. I can't remember what we actually decided there. Nice little return from George again there. Straight into the cage. And I feel like my net position there was actually relatively good. I wasn't in line with Jake, so wasn't the best, especially when I consider that we're actually playing it to the corner where George was. So if he'd have played a perfect shot, it goes straight in between me and Jake. It would have been very difficult for us to get to. So our positioning wasn't the best there. I think this was maybe the third or fourth time that me and Jake had actually played together. It's not a bad overhead there from Jake. It was a little bit lungy. And again, the technique on all of our overheads isn't exactly the best. We're just kind of learning and improving and enjoying it. But it did get us the point. Then that one there, George goes for the boast off the glass. Actually ends up hitting the cage, and it just doesn't make its way across. Jake goes for the tap out there, which between our group of friends, he is probably the best at the tap outs. And he didn't quite make it, which allowed George to get a nice, easy return. Jake on the other team then gets a nice little overhead. And then here, look, they're just so bouncy every single time that he just moves back forward. Gets the shot. George goes for a Bajada off the glass. And I did notice after editing this video back, if you look at George's hand. Sorry, I just had to pause there. Jake completely and utterly mishits that shot. And then fake Moonies us for whatever reason. As if he meant to do it. It's unbelievable. But as I was saying, I noticed with George, if you notice the way that he actually holds his paddle racket, he holds it very much like a table tennis player. He has his finger down the back of the racket, which there will probably be a lot of paddle players that'll end up watching this and thinking that is an absolute no-go. Like, the continental grip is a must-have. But yeah, it works when it comes to putting the spin on his shots. I think it will hinder him in the future if he's trying certain overheads. But you can see him when he's standing there just then. His finger is over the back of the racket. And if I remember rightly, he was pretty good at table tennis back in school. So that might be why. My overhead there again is just awful. There's not enough slice on it. It's not enough into the corner. And it just bounces up for Jake to return it. And again there, it's just awful. It's a nice lob. It's like a nice kind of flat lob. And Jake is just getting everything that we send at him back. It's really good, to be fair. And I don't think any of us noticed this in real time. And that is why you record your paddle matches, guys. I don't know what this guy is doing over on that other court, but that is not paddle, sir. That is not paddle. Nice deep lob from me again there. I do feel like my lobs were on point in this match, but they just weren't winning us any points. George just kept getting them back, and he was actually setting them up for nice Bajadas most of the time. So you see here, another deep lob. And Jake goes for a Bajada off the glass there, but I feel like he just wasn't quite far enough behind the ball to make a good contact. George jumps in there to try and get the ball back, and it ends up hitting the back glass to give us the point. And we are currently up 3-1 in this first set currently. It's a lovely serve from Jake there. I think my shot was definitely going out there. I think that's what George was saying to Jake. I think that was going out and he just lunged to get there. And again, my overhead there, that one wasn't awful, but there's just not enough on it. And then I play my volley directly at Jake instead of playing it down towards his feet. No slice on it whatsoever. And because I'm stood too close to the net, I'm noticing that most of my volleys are actually just blocks. I'm not really volleying the ball. And then my positioning is all over the place. I'm not covering the line. And it was just really, really bad. But we are 4-1 up. A nice deep lob there from George. Jake plays a nice Bandecker to recover the net, but he hasn't pushed back forward just yet. Another nice overhead, and he pushes forward. And that is for the accidental weird overhead that he did a minute ago. He gets nailed. George trying to push into the net there. And I did notice one thing that none of us really did in this, and it is an absolute must, as I've played a lot more since this, is split stepping. Split stepping after your serve, whether you've not made it to the net yet or not, just as your opponent contacts the ball, make sure that you split step so that you're able to then change into any possible direction. But none of us were doing it in this game, and you notice it causes us to like lunge or jump or go into weird sort of shapes like ballerina jumps as such. So that overhead was actually relatively good. Nice power and whip into the corner, but Jake managed to get there anyway. It's a nice flat shot from George there. Jake playing the backhand back to me. I try a lob. And again, I feel like they're the types of points that we should be punishing people. But we just didn't quite have the technique, I guess. Not yet anyway. And again, I've played a backhand. I played a volley straight up to Jake's backhand, and he's managed to punish me over into the corner. Another nice deep lob. It doesn't cause George any problems whatsoever. He manages to play another one. And my overhead again just bounces up for Jake. Nice and easy return. Nothing special about my overhead. It's just, they're just far too bouncy every single time. Look, middle of the court. Watching this back, it's actually relatively painful, to be honest. But Jake tries to step across there with his backhand, which, as you've seen from the video so far, is actually very, very strong. But it does ping off and go straight into the glass. The cage, sorry, I should say. And that one there, I should be covering the middle based on where the shot's coming from. I should have been covering the middle. You can see there, I've had 2 or 3 opportunities there to finish the point with my overhead, but I just don't feel confident enough to go for a more powerful overhead or like a Vibra to whip it into the corners. But all I'm doing, playing the shot that I'm playing, is just teeing at my opponent to then finish the point against me. So I have definitely improved since this, because like I say, it was about 4 to 6 weeks ago, this video. But yeah, in this one, watching it back, it is quite a tough watch. A lot of them, they're like slappers. I don't even know what they are. I'm just like slapping the ball back. I'm not even playing an actual shot. Lovely deep lob there from George. My overhead just teased him up to play another one. And we got quite lucky there that Jake plays his backhand volley straight into the net, because my positioning after watching that back was just dreadful. I was forward when Jake was back. Then I moved back when Jake went forward and all sorts. But that was dreadful. Overhead there, finally played a nice one. Nice deep into the court with a lot of pace on it, which allowed it to obviously skip, hit the glass and go far forward before George managed to push there. So the first set, we did take it down 6-2, which was nice. Let's see if we can manage to keep it. So that there should have been a tap out. I didn't quite get up and over the ball and use my wrist enough, but I did manage to put enough power on it to hit the glass and finally run away from Jake without him making it to the ball. Jake's even laughing at himself for that Bahada. He just kind of nailed it straight into the floor. I don't really know what happened there, whether he rushed the shot, panicked a little bit or whatnot, but that literally went into the floor. Yeah, see that from me there. I don't know why I took so long to step across. I could see where the ball was going. It was like I was ball watching until it hit the glass. I should have already been low, opened up my racket, so I was ready just to flick the ball up when it came off the glass, but just wasn't quite good enough. And again, you can see here that I'm far too close to the net. That is causing me to have to jump for these overheads, but not in the way that you obviously are in position. Then as you contact it, you jump and generate a little bit more of an angle and power. I'm jumping because I can't reach the ball. And if I allow it to drop, I'm going to have to run back and it's going to die before the glass. So my positioning is just all wrong. Far too close to the net. And here you can see that I'm up at the net. Jake's really far back. Which, to be honest, when we're playing it on Jake's side, it's not too bad. But I don't know why I now just changed the angle over to George. Because playing it back over to George actually makes it more difficult for me and Jake. Because it opens up the angles for George to play between us. And these are things that I've learned since this game. If I'd have continued playing my shots to Jake, it's not too bad. Because he cannot play a ball in between me and Jake. But changing the angle to George was a really bad idea. You see here that me and Jake keep getting the ball played in the middle of us. And this was a common thing that kept happening in these last two sets. Is we just couldn't get used to it. We both normally play on the left. And I think we just couldn't get used to covering the middle. Nice backhand lob there from Jake, sending George all the way back. And he goes for a Bahada. And again, my volleys are more just blocks. They're not even volleys. And Jake's having to jump there for his overhead because he was too close to the net. Jake plays a nice shot into the corner there for George, and he wasn't able to pick it up. Jake actually goes for the side wall boast there, I think it was, and he didn't quite get the angle or the power on it, and it went straight into the net. And you see me going for an overhead here. Boom! Nearly back over to my side. Didn't quite get the power or the kick on it, but we'll take it. For once again, Jake didn't quite make it. And a nice little shot down the line there from Jake. But we are 2-1 down in this second set. My overhead there is just... I don't even know what that is. Backwall bows there from George. Didn't quite get it back over. And there... My way to get to that overhead was to do this weird little backward stutter step, which is just dreadful. Any of you guys that have any idea about paddle will know. Turn, sideways, and sidestep. It is 10 times faster, and then you're already in the position to play a nice overhead. And you'll see again, we've been caught down the middle for like the third or fourth shot in a row. I don't know how we didn't learn at this point, but it just goes to show our position was just not quite right in this match. And I just tee Jake up to nail it at Jake. And yeah, that was my bad. In terms of overheads, I would definitely say the Jake that we're playing against has the best technique overall. He manages to get the nice slice on it. He makes contact with it in a good place. Sort of eye height away from the body. And again there, Jake just manages to get to everything. He gets to everything. I definitely felt like I was going to win that point. And that there, me and Jake are both going for the same ball. We managed to sort our feet out and somehow win that point when Jake plays it into the cage. But we are 4-1 down in this second set after winning the first one 6-2. You see my overheads there. My arm is just not high enough. My body's not side on. Contacted the ball when it's far too high, and it's kind of above my head rather than sort of eye line away from my body. See there, Jake's arm nice and high when he makes contact with the ball. And then he's played 3 fairly decent overheads there. Nothing incredible, but fairly decent, keeping the rally going. And then I play it straight into the net. So that's my bad on that one, once again. That one there, that actually landed in perfectly in the corner from Jake with that lob. And I just couldn't make it back in top. So we are 5-1 down. A backhand lob here from Jake. And that was a little bit better. I actually kind of back stepped on that one. And that one, I'm trying to generate too much power instead of just looking at the position on the court and just playing a nice soft one down the middle. Not sure what actually happened in that point, but... So you see there, like, my arm's still bent. I do win the point, but my arm's bent instead of nice and straight when I make contact. And it's just a strange overhead. It really, really is. So there, we have lost the second set 6-1. Not ideal. And it starts off with Jake serving the third set. And he goes for a backhand, like, Chiquita from the back of the court, which goes straight into the net. And you can see there, like, his positioning's really, really good. He shapes up ready to push forward as soon as he sees Jake about to tee up for the smash. But he doesn't move too far forward that he can't get it if Jake plays the ball to the back of the court. So, watching this back, his position's actually really, really good. You can see, again, George's finger just sitting on the back of his racket. It was so strange seeing that the first time when I was editing through this video. But we do force Jake into an error, finally. An actual error where he plays a backhand up and out of the court. And that is a bad lob from me. And that overhead from me there is just dreadful. George has basically teed me up to finish the point, and I've just nailed it straight into the back glass. It was dreadful, but they were just tucking me in the corner. I go for a boast. I try to boast it again. And I just feel at this point, I was in my own head a little bit. I knew I was making too many mistakes and I was costing Jake the game. But like here, I'm basically just playing tennis. I'm just giving them the ball back. Look at all the open space at the front of the court that I could have been playing it straight into the cage. Trying to play a nice little rouleau or something. But instead, I'm literally just saying, yo, kill me. Finish the point. Play it at me. But we get very fortunate again. Jake plays the backhand into the net. And there's just awful positioning from me. As soon as George plays the ball, he goes straight towards my feet and I just kind of throw my racket in front of it. And it hits the cage. And that there is such a bad position to play a Bahada from. The ball was nowhere near high enough, so I couldn't get the right angle on it. But once again, Jake manages to play a nice shot straight towards me. And fortunately, I play an overhead that actually wins a point. George with a tap-out attempt. And again, look, my overhead just gives him an easy shot to try and punish us with. So I did manage to tuck him in the corner quite nicely there to win us that point. And Jay with his backhand tried to play a winner. And it goes into the side glass. My lob there is dreadful. George with a nice lob. Jake with a lob all the way back. And then Jake doesn't quite get to that one. And does send it up and out of the court. So it's 1-1 in this third set. It's intense. Lovely lob there from Jake to send me back. I go for a lob back, but it's not quite deep enough. And George manages to play a shot to keep us at the back of the court. That's a nice smash from Jake. And there was a double touch on the way through. I'm surprised one of them didn't try and claim it. I am super, super, super competitive when it comes to everything. And in our friendship group, I would say that the Jake that we're playing against is the most competitive. We are extremely close. Don't get me wrong. Any board games, we used to go around each other's houses when we were growing up and playing board games together. None of us like to lose. I think Jake definitely pips it. And there may be something in the coming set that will showcase that. When this was meant to be just like a bit of a friendly game, although it was going to go down as competitive on the Playtomic app. You'll see what I mean. So there, that shot choice from me is dreadful. Lovely shot from Jake through the middle. And as you can see, nice friendly game. Definitely not competitive, Jake. Not at all. There you go. There's your punishment. Like, that technique there from Jake is actually really nice from the back of the court. I've basically played that lob perfectly onto the service line, so he can't let that bounce because it won't come up off the glass. And he's managed to play a lovely overhead with slice all the way over to Jake on the opposite side. And then a lovely Bahada down the middle again. That shot seemed to be really good for him. And the way he hits it with plenty of slice and whip straight through the middle of us, it just doesn't skip up. So if we don't hit it on the volley, it's just going to punish us like it was. Another overhead from me there that just literally tees Jake back up to allow him to play a deep lob and retake the net. Jake plays the lob there, and Jake on the other team manages to play a lovely backhand volley straight down the middle. And then he's just transitioning to the net there and just punishes me. To be honest, he played incredible in this match. Watching this back, he played really, really well. I think it was only a few days before this, me and him had played together against two guys. And we actually played really, really well together. But watching this back, maybe it was Jake that was just making me better. If that makes sense. So in this third set, we are 3-1 down. It's not looking good. Is there going to be a big comeback? What do we think? Backhand volley for me there isn't too bad. But again, we're slightly too close to the net for the ball that we played. And that meant that with the overhead, we're kind of having to jump just to reach the ball because our positioning is just kind of wrong. And a lovely shot down the line there from George, which caused Jake to have to lunge into it. And then it's just bounced off and gone straight into the cage. Really, really good shot from George. And we're 4-1 down currently. And I feel like at this point, we're just kind of in survival mode. But some of the shots that we're playing, we're literally just trying to stay alive rather than trying to actually win anything. We're just waiting for the inevitable. But a lovely overhead there from Jake to actually win the point. Again, a lovely overhead there from Jake. Nice slice on it, nice and low. Deep lob there from Jake. And a Bahada from Jake that goes into the net. So I have noticed that a couple of his Bahadas, other than the two when he's been right up in the corner, have gone into the net. And I think his biggest issue with the Bahadas is that he's not getting behind the ball when it's coming off the glass. So, but again, his positioning there, I've noticed how he stepped to the side, put his body side on, so he's ready to play a backhand if it comes off the glass. And he's ready to run forward if I put enough power into it. So, very, very, very good from Jake after watching this back. Bouncy overhead there from Jake. Allows the other Jake to play a Bahada. Whips it straight into me. And my volley is more of just, again, it's just putting my racket in front of it. Not really playing a shot. Deep backhand lob there from Jake. Lovely. I will say as well, George hasn't really put a foot wrong in this game. There's a couple of shots maybe in the second set, but Been super consistent, but I still find it strange. I'm looking at his finger now. He's literally got it hooked in that gap near the handle. That is mind-blowing. And finally, boom, there it is. The tap out. The tap out from Jake. And you hear the Jake on the other team celebrate, because that was the first one we'd managed to get. And I think in the game that I played with Jake a few days before this, I think I got about 6 tap outs in that game, 5 or 6 tap outs. And it was quite surprising. I got none in this game, but I guess they just weren't giving it to us. And we also weren't playing shots that meant that they had to kind of tee it up for us. Nice deep lob into the corner there. I say that, and I think that actually hit the glass, so maybe not. Lob here. George managed just to lob it straight back. And just a weird shot from me there. We are currently 5-2 down here as well. It doesn't look like it's going to end too well for the first video on the channel, guys. But there'll be plenty more to come. You can see here, George is quite literally playing with that finger in the middle. And I guess it must give him a little bit of extra control and the ability to add spin to it. But I think there will be certain shots that it will cause massive issues with, certain overheads and techniques and things that it just physically won't allow him to do. But I mean, it's serving him well in this game, right? So I'm sure he won't care too much. How Jake got to that ball then is crazy. But again, I think he's just slightly too close to the net. And my overhead, my lob, sorry, goes all the way and hits that back glass. My lob there is dreadful. Tees Jake up. And Jake plays the final ball into the net to lose. And that is it then, guys. If you enjoyed it, please like, comment, and subscribe to the channel for more paddle content. And I promise we are going to level up this paddle.